See, are we on? Let's kick this thing off, baby. Let's see, how we doing? Let's see who's in here. Let me get everything arranged over here on my end. Which I'm sorry, I should have already been there. As always, Wi-Fi problems. I do apologize. One person on here so far. Yes, it is possible for you to watch the videos from yesterday. All of them on financial freedom are basically the same, but I'm taking a different angle based upon the class that we're in. And honestly, it's the most important topic we have. So I hope that you tune in. I want to know who's here tonight. So if you don't mind, or this afternoon, this evening, however you want to define it, whoever's here, go ahead. I had to turn on the microphone, sorry. Let me know that you're here. I'm using my Blue Yeti, and we're going to make some things happen. This is the most important episode of the whole entire semester. Although it may not be the most conceptually important one, such as the U-shaped curve or talking about the stream analysis or whatever, the fact of the matter is we all do swim in the same stream. And if we were to take a look at lethal violence, and we actually broke lethal violence down into, hey Juliet, and we broke it down into human behavior, we would find, I think, I don't know exactly for sure because there's going to be variation, but I do think that we would find out that, you know, our financial freedom is tied to a lot of the social issues that are a part of a class such as this. For one reason is that, you know, when we take a look at our financial life, Alva, what's happening? Jocelyn, when we take a look at our financial life, and maybe you can speak for yourself, I can't really speak for anyone else, I can speak for me. I can say that, Jessica, what's happening? I can say that when I'm financially sound and everything's working really well, my stress level is reduced, my blood pressure is reduced. Danielle, what's up, Shawn? Easy! And I feel much better. So, if that's true, and then we take into account persons who are marginally employed, Kristen, how are you? We take that into account, then we could also say that our ability to have financial freedom really is directly related to so many of the issues that we have in front of us. I don't care if it's protests, I don't care if it's based upon employment, I don't care if it's based upon child abuse, you know, sexual abuse, I don't care what it is. I personally believe that so many of these things revolve around our ability to be financially free. Deanna, what's happening? Richard, what's going on? Now, just for a second, just a brief interlude, I'm going to provide you with some announcements, very important announcements on Thursday. I have to say my Wi-Fi has really been acting up the last 2 days. So, like for example, right now it says I can't maintain smooth streaming, and I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. I mean, I have the highest strength extender. You know, I have a brand new computer to deal with this. Everything that I'm supposed to have to take care of it, it's just not working. So I do apologize, but let me just say before I jump into my discussion on financial freedom that you all, especially as I look on the list of people who are here right now, I can say that you've been spectacular. I've had very good classes all semester. The speaker stopped working. I've had a very good string of classes this semester. However, I must say that the human behavior class, you guys are just hitting at a whole nother level. As far as meeting up on Friday, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, let's go ahead and meet Friday at Lime at 3 o'clock. But I'm also going to say let's be very safe. Bring your masks. I hope you bring your Ohio State mask, like I have mine somewhere. Bring your Ohio State mask, and we're going to practice social distancing or whatever, but I do want to meet everyone. So we're going to say 3 o'clock Friday at Lime. Be there, but be safe, right? I look forward to meeting many of you. We've had a great semester, and even though this was kind of difficult to do it this way, I still feel very much rewarded in the fact that I think we're a success. I'm going to give you an announcement at the end of the class period, because we're only going to go for an hour. I'm going to give you an announcement at the end of the class period about the final exam, the things that I'm expecting, and all that. Hey, Alva, you and Richard, Deanna, Kurt, all of you, have been fantastic, and I just want to say thank you. As you've noticed, some of you, what I'm doing as far as grading is I'm grading based upon when I received them in the emails, and I'm going backwards, back to the earliest ones, which is also maybe ridiculous, given the fact that I should be grading the ones that were turned in earliest and then coming to the ones currently, but I'll have to work that out next semester. I didn't think of it that way. Now I'm getting responses to emails, and it's a nightmare trying to grade through email, and I didn't do a great job with having a Dropbox inside of Blackboard. So I'll take the blame for it, but I am grading, and the papers are sensational. What can I say? You all are doing a great job. I don't know if it's because of the video of how to write a great paper or not, but I will say that I'm very pleased. There's only been 4 or 5 B's at this point out of 120, 140 grades. So if anything, rest assured that you're going to do okay. The only way you're not going to do okay is if I haven't received your assignments. So make sure everything is submitted by Sunday, July the 5th at this point. And I'll give you an announcement on July 2nd to let you know exactly what's taking place. But in the meantime, just a couple things that have developed here recently. My class last night in ethnicity, it was fantastic. There were only 3 of us there, so it was a very intimate conversation. And what we decided to do, and you all can join in if you want, is we decided to start an entrepreneurship club. Hey Jocelyn, we decided to start an entrepreneurship club in which all of us can focus on building our own business, building it around our passions, building around our skills, and then collectively pooling together our skills and talents so that we can build something independently. Mostly so that 20 years from now, we have the ability to stand on our own. But for right now, we're just doing it as a club. The second thing, what was the other thing that we tried to do? Excuse me. Another thing that we tried to do was the 50-day challenge. So I haven't started mine yet, even though I talked about it 2 weeks ago. Some of you have started. Some of you even said you're doing pretty well. I'm starting my 50-day challenge tomorrow, and if anybody wants to join in, one of my students from Social Problems has created a WhatsApp chat that focuses exclusively on just a 50-day challenge. In other words, how do we take 50 days and we create a set of habits that will propel us into our destiny? Oh God, hold on. Great. I'm sneezing and everything else. Okay, that's fine, Falak. I know you can. If you can't stay all the way through, as you already know, I mean, you all have figured it out by now that, well, Gina, hold on, because I'm sending everything back. Oh, Gina, you have a different last name in your submissions. And what happened was you sent the stuff to my my personal Gmail account, and I forwarded it over to the HOPEWorks account, and I graded, I think, 2 of your assignments, but I didn't respond because they just responded to me. So you've done okay. I think you got A's or A- on both of them. I can look it up in a second. Let's see here. But your last name is different. Bless. Oh, thanks, Jessica. I appreciate it. But I think you've done fine. So I wouldn't worry too much if I were you, Gina. What's your last name in the system? That's what I need to know. Because, let me see. I know people who are watching this are like, oh, he's going to go look through this and I'm going to be bored sitting here watching. And this is such an important topic. Yeah, I can't find it right now. Anyhow, let's do this. Let's go ahead and address the most important topic of the semester. And the most important topic is really, truly, your financial freedom. And what I want to do tonight, more than anything, is I want to make sure that... Oh, it's okay. No, Gina, it's okay. It's okay. I need to know your last name. That's really what I need to know more than anything. Shoot, please. We have people submitting stuff on my personal account, my work account, inside Blackboard, at HOPEWorks. I mean, I'm getting stuff. I'm even getting stuff from the past. Falak, that means you did fine, so I wouldn't worry about it, okay? What questions did you have? you had an A or an A minus. If you didn't get any grade, that means that, okay, for like this is for you. If you got a grade on it, what it means, feedback with no grade, it just means you were one of the first 10 people that I graded. And I wasn't giving the letter back at that point, but in my grade books, you did fine. So I wouldn't worry about the grade. Yeah. Let me just say, hey Cassandra, what's happening? Don't worry about the grades, everyone. The only thing you need to worry about is submitting all your work. If you submitted all your work at this point, I can say that everyone's doing really well. For example, when I look over here at this grade book here, everyone that has submitted something, the worst grade is an A minus over a B plus. When I look at this particular class, hold on a second, I see a B on one assignment, a B plus over A minus, and then on this sheet I see a B plus, a B, two B pluses, another B plus, and then on the fourth sheet, 4 B pluses and 2 A minuses over B plus. So Jocelyn, don't worry. You guys, don't worry. As long as you've submitted your work, it will be graded fairly. As long as you submitted your work, it will be graded fairly. Out of the 120 people, you just heard how many B pluses I gave, right? 12. So about 10% are getting B or B plus. So just kind of sit back and chill. It's hard to grade hundreds of papers. It really is. And, you know, we've had a 5-week class, which means I have 16 weeks of material to grade in a 4-week period. So now that I have it and I'm grading it, if you're just patient, your only concern at this point is making sure that you've submitted all the work. That's all you need to worry about. And I'm going to find it. As long as you didn't send it to my AOL account or Yahoo or something stupid like that, as long as you didn't do that, I will uncover it. Right now I'm just going through shawn.hopeworks at gmail.com, and that's what I'm grading right now. When I get done with that, then I go into Blackboard. Then with Blackboard, I go to my MDC account. Then after MDC, I'm going back to Gmail. So just, you know, the most important thing is really taking a look at your financial freedom. Because honestly, 20 years from now, what you got in this class as far as a grade is irrelevant. There's nothing relevant about any of your grades in any particular assignment, any particular class. And the reason is really simple, is that, you know, 20 years from now, you're going to have to be able to stand on your own. You don't know what the financial world is going to look like. You don't know what the economic order is going to look like. You don't know what anything is going to look like, except that, and I guarantee you this, because I read the Census Bureau, I read the Department of Labor, I read the Bureau of, what's it called? The Bureau of Labor Statistics. I read these things so I can see what the labor market is going to look like. I don't do it for me because, frankly, I'm going to be retiring in 20 years. I won't be working anyhow. I'll just be chilling off my own passive income. But you all be working. So for me, honestly, the only thing I need to worry about, oh, come on. The only thing I need to worry about is making it for another 10, 20 years. You, on the other hand, you got 40 years of labor to worry about. And here's what we know for a statistical fact. Statistically, 20 to 30% of the jobs that exist today will not exist in 20 years. 20 to 30% of the jobs will not exist. 30% of the jobs that will exist in 2040 don't exist today. Now watch this. Since I teach criminal justice, a lot of my students are always interested in becoming a police officer, okay? So let's put it this way. You all have a car right now, but you're growing used to having Uber out there, Lyft, and these, you know, these, they're not taxi services, but what do they call them? These ride-sharing programs. You do realize, right, that NVIDIA is partnered with Uber to create an entire self-driving auto force, taxi force, where you're still going to have Uber, but you're not going to have any human beings at all driving the car. So there are a lot of people out there who are making extra money, and they've already planned your extinction. So if you take a look at China, There's a car company in China that's called NIO. I used to be invested in NIO. It's a self-driving car company. They have high technology and everything else. They're already planning, they've already partnered with BMW, to create a self-driving car force that will take care of all people who need transportation in the country of China. Right? So if you take a look at the fact that there's self-driving cars and you want to become a police officer, watch this. By the year, when you go down to, oh, it's okay, Michelle, it's good to have you. If you go down to, like where I go to South Miami, I go to Sunset Place and places like that. So let's say I go to Sunset Place. As soon as I park on the side of the street, I walk up to my little parking spot, parking meter, and I pay. And I pay so that I can park here for an hour or two, right? $3, $5, whatever it is. Well, when self-driving cars come, those self-driving cars through the Internet of Technology or Internet of Things will communicate from your car directly to that parking meter. And the parking meter will communicate directly with your bank account so that if you're about to run out of time, it will automatically pull out your payment. So every time you cross the street, those little cameras that are above your head that right now are just gauging whether or not you roll through a yellow light, well, they'll be able to gauge whether or not you're jaywalking or engaging in another kind of crime. So if you jaywalk, you're going to receive a notice at your home that you jaywalked, that you owe $75 or whatever the number is. If you're in China, then you cross the street and you jaywalk, there's a sign on the other side of the street that says you owe us $75, pay up. So with that kind of thing happening, when you go to park your car at a parking meter in 20 years, it's going to be a self-driving car that pulls up to a parking spot and communicates directly to the parking meter. The parking meter will directly communicate through Internet of Things back to your bank account. When it does, it's going to guarantee that you do not, I don't trust it, I guarantee that, but it is what it is. It will make sure that you make your payment, okay? That's fine. But you do realize 1/3 of all the police budgets come from speeding tickets, traffic violations, and parking meters. So if all of a sudden your car decides that it's going to drive itself, and it's on the Palmetto and it's going 55 miles an hour, not 75 or not 80, so you're not getting pulled over for speeding, all of a sudden now the amount of money that's being transferred into the police departments is reduced. If they're not busting you because you're paying at a parking meter, because why? Because your car is automatically paying for it, then what happens is that they lose another part of their budget. So those parts of the budget disappearing does what? It reduces 1/3 of the budget that the police have. Consequently, you're not getting hired. Why? Because they don't need you. They have artificial intelligence that's going to take over a lot of the policing. As a matter of fact, I didn't mean to get into all this, but since we talk about lethal violence so much, they have the technology that exists that we can detect whether or not you're in an argument. The windows, like I have a window over here, it's not technologically developed for that, but I do have a former student from 2014. She's a police officer. Her whole job is to listen to the windows and listen to the cameras as to whether or not there's an argument that is developing that could lead to lethal violence. And, that's okay, Mark. And when she hears something that might be lethal, she dispatches the police officers there. Borderline minority report. However, with that technology and artificial intelligence, one, you're going to have a difference in the amount of revenue that's generated from traffic violations. Why? Because you're not driving. Technology is driving. Your car is driving itself. So you don't have to pay. Hey, what's up, Mark? Says Juan. And so, based upon that, there goes the revenue. And then we'll be able to track you so much easier. And you can't fake it, because just like your fingerprint has a fingerprint voice, your voice has a unique fingerprint. So the technology can detect whether or not you're faking that you're arguing or whether you really are arguing. And so 20 years from now, the whole world is going to look a whole lot different. And essentially, if you're trying to become a police officer, we don't even know if there's going to be a police spot for you. So as a matter of fact, there's a company called Knightsbridge, and they're creating artificial intelligence mixed with robotics, and what they do is they provide the private security. So when you go up to Dadeland Mall, instead of having security walk around, they're already riding the Segway. But instead of them riding the Segway or walking through the mall to see whether or not people are acting right, what if you have artificial intelligence where you have robotic security guards walking up and down the hallways, behavior. It's a lot less expensive. Once the initial technology is purchased, boom, you're displaced. And I walk around Miami and I think about private security. Private security is everywhere. It's in the mall, it's at Dayland, it's in Target, it's wherever I go, I see private security. So if now all of a sudden you have a robot that'll take care of it, hey Kevin, what's happening? If you have a robot that takes care of it, you as a human being are displaced. So when we take a look at the year 2040, 30% of the jobs that exist, we will be gone. We don't even know what they're going to do. They're gone. Bye. And then 30% of the jobs that will exist in 2020 or 2040, we can't even imagine what they are yet. Aurelia, how are you? Albert, what are you laughing about? You're not funny. So in any case, these are the kind of trends that you're looking at. But here's what's more important. If you take a look at your education and you take a look at your experience with higher ed, I'm not talking about MDC, I'm not talking about your particular high school, but what I am saying is that the majority of the classes that we take are specifically designed so that you can take a freaking multiple choice test. And that is by design, I think. I think the fact that most of your classes are designed for you to take a multiple choice exam means no, don't change your major, right? Hey, Kevin, I wouldn't change my major at all. Actually, Jocelyn, here's what I would do, all right? And I'll come back to the financial freedom in just a second. The irony about your generation is that information is instantaneously accessible. You can get the information right now. I accidentally pulled my phone and pulled the wall charger out. Printer's going off, microwave's going off. Here's what I would do, and there's no doubt about it. While you have instantaneous access to information, most people aren't reading in depth into anything. They're getting a sound bite, they're getting a little heading, and they're acting like they have information. And the fact of the matter is, you have nothing. And so, if I were you, here's what I would be doing. I would right now, on this day, today, start to be an expert on the trends, the economic trends, the education trends, the family trends, the political trends that are going to shape the world in which we live. I would become a master of understanding employment structure. I would know all the things that are happening in terms of labor distribution. Are we becoming more white collar? Are we becoming more professional? Are we becoming more? Are we becoming a lot more? Blue collar? Or are we becoming self-employed? Joan, thank you very much. Now that I appreciate. So what I would be doing, Jocelyn, if I were you, I'd be reading every day. The first thing I would do, especially at your age, before I get into talking about financial freedom, the first thing I would do, and I do. Personally, I do. I don't tell you all to do anything that I don't do. I don't tell you to do anything I didn't do when I was your age. Because when I was 20, when I was 21 years old, 22, as a matter of fact, the day I went to college, the very day I sat down on my first day at Denison University, I pulled out the student handbook, and I looked at every class that was offered in every major. And I looked at what were my requirements, and the first thing I did was map out every class I'm taking every single semester so that I knew that in the end of the fourth year I was going to graduate on time. Now I had to make some adjustments because, I didn't realize that classes weren't offered every semester. I didn't know I was going to change my major to sociology. I was initially an economics major blended with history and economics. Didn't even know what sociology was. I never heard of it. And it ended up I became a sociology major and had to change some things. But the first thing I did was sit down and say, how am I going to get from here to here? And when I decided I was going to go from here to here, then I charted it out, right? And I don't know how often I do it, but I'm always doing a personal inventory. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How am I going to get to my destination? What is my destination? What is my goal? What's my vision? What's my mission? How am I going to execute? Who are going to be on my team? Who am I kicking off my team so that I can get from point A to point Z, right? Many of you don't do that, right? Many of you don't sit back and say, who am I? What am I? Where am I going? And how am I going to get there? And the problem is, you're the only one who knows the answer to any of those questions. And if you're not looking to answer those questions, what's going to happen is the wind of institutional change is going to blow you in the direction of lemmingship. In other words, since we are training you, not you as an individual, but collectively, since our education system is training you to be a follower, right? That's what multiple choice tests are for. Multiple choice exams are designed for you to be a follower, not for you to be a leader, not for you to be someone who can stand up on your own 2 feet and say, this is where I'm going to go and this is how I'm going to get there. Instead, your education is training you to be a follower. And in being a follower, oh God, I hope you heard all that because I see the microphone wasn't working. But in being a follower, you passively accept the news, you passively accept what other people say, and you passively accept your position in life. And you just kind of go on from one job to the next. Oh, I just lost a job, I guess I'll go to the next one. Well, guess what? Those jobs may not even be in existence in 20 years, right? And the thing is that, Jocelyn, why'd you retract your statement? Hello, Michelle. So, Jocelyn, the first thing I'm doing is taking personal inventory. The next thing I'm doing for the next 40 years is I'm doing an inventory on what do the social institutions look like. What does my skill set look like? And how do I put my skill set into the institutions such that I can be in control of my destiny? Because unlike any other generation, you guys, oh my God, on the one hand, you have the most magnificent opportunities in human history. Oh, if you lay into the institutional change and you see that your skills and your passions fit into that stream, then you can have the greatest experience of all time. However, if you passively sit there and watch it happen, you're going to get run over. And I don't see any other way to say it. And thank you, Roxanne. My greatest concern for your generation, and remember, I've been teaching for 32 years. You all haven't even been alive long enough to be alive as long as I've been teaching. I started teaching when I was 20 years old at Denison University. I was just a teaching assistant, but I was lecturing in all the classes. And now I've been doing this for 32. In the fall, I start my 33rd year. I think I've taught over 500 classes now, nearly 20,000 students. And I can say, without any reason of a doubt, your generation faces the greatest opportunity and you face the greatest tragedy in human history. My job is no longer to teach you. I can't do it. My job is to prepare you for a world that has never been seen in human history. And you're either going to accept it or not accept it. You're going to either thrive on it or you're going to get run over by it. And I'm not going to go to my grave saying I didn't tell my students point blank to their face that they have an opportunity to make the most of it. Point number one. If most of the labor force isn't going to exist as it does today in 20 years, you have to understand what the trends look like. If you are not studying trends every single day, you are going to squander your opportunity. You're going to squander it. And here's what you do. Baby, and here's the irony of your generation. You have this cell phone that's available to you, and I see you all texting, right? I see you hitting Facebook. You don't do Facebook. TikTok. I see you doing your Instagram, all this stuff. You're doing all this, and all that is sound bites. You get little pieces of information that may or may not be true. And then you act as if somehow it is true, and then you behave and you put your little picture of your hamburger on there, and maybe a glass of beer or some wine or something like that, and then all of a sudden that becomes your existence. Well, the problem is that if you are not reading 1 to 2 hours a day in that area that you love, in that area that you specialize in that area that represents your passion, if you don't read every single day something, then you're missing the opportunity at your greatness. Then all you're doing, if you're not reading every single day, is you're allowing the social media, you're allowing the news, you're allowing the radio, you're allowing all these other mediums to dictate to you what information you know. And as soon as you stop thinking for yourself, you become a pawn in the system that wants you to be directed. And once you stop thinking for yourself, the institutions aren't designed for you to get ahead, baby. The institutions are designed for you to sell your labor into the marketplace for as little value as you can receive. That's what it's designed for. So if we can pay you $9 or $10 an hour instead of $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour for the same amount of work, then guess what happens? You get paid $9 or $10 an hour while the company ends up making $30, $40 per hour off of your ability. That's fine. If that's what you want, go for it. My deal is that why would you ever neglect yourself and neglect your ability to maximize what you should be earning? Why? Because you have been trained to take multiple choice exams. You have been trained to be a follower to what the institutions say are appropriate behavior. You haven't been trained to be a critical thinker. My job is really simple. Learn how to critically assess the world around you. Learn how to critically assess your position within the labor market. Learn to assess your daily inventory and then take into account the things that motivate you. Come up with the chart, all right? And in that chart, you put down, here's my dream. Here's what I want my life to look like. And when you put down what my life looks like, you find that person, whoever that person is. Hey, Pamela, you find that person that represents your dream. And you ask yourself, what are their skills? What are mine? And you compare your what dynamics, your personality dynamics with theirs. What do you need to improve? What are your strengths and what do you need to improve? That's step number one. What are your skills? What are their skills? If you can check mark, this is their top 3 skills, and you can say, I need to develop these skills, and go out there and develop them. Go read about it and go develop them. I don't know who J. Cole is, Jocelyn, but I'm going to look it up. Then, once you know what your skills are, right, the next thing to do is you got to get a real timeline together, baby, because your problem is that with you being a soundbite society, with all of us, right, we want everything instantaneously, then we make our decision based upon that. Thank you, Pamela. Oh, God. I remember you now. I'm glad that you came to visit tonight. I appreciate that. Because, hey, Juan, what's going on, Juan? Because we're part of a soundbite society, we follow. We just want little pieces of information rather than digging in as to what it is. So once you know their personality characteristics, compare it to yours. Once you know what their skills are, compare it to yours. Now here's where we fail. This is where we fail. Take a look at when. How long did it take for them to become that person? I used to want to be a college president of a college. All right. So when I started to take a look around at the age of all the college presidents, I noticed most college presidents are between 55 and 65 years old. I'm 25 years old. So I know that when I see that they're 55, I got to work for 30 years to become that person. Here's what happens. In a soundbite society, you want it now. You don't want all the pain and all the struggle. Look, if you can't go through the pain, you're not going to get there. And if you're not going to go through the pain to get to that destination that you desire, that destination that drives you every morning that you wake up, if you're not willing to go through the pain, and you're only willing because for a very small duration to go from today to tomorrow, because you live in a soundbite society, guess what? You're never going to become that college president. You're never going to become your ultimate dream. So what you have to do is you got to put down, how long is it going to take me to get there? How many of you really, literally have the ability to put aside 30 years to fulfill your dream? Most of you wouldn't do it because you want the money today. But your fulfillment isn't based upon money. Your fulfillment is based upon this thing that burns inside your heart. When it burns inside your heart, your job in this lifetime is to allow your greatness to express itself as it's supposed to. And if you're chasing money, you're never going to get it. You're always going to be broke because you can't chase money. All you can do is take your passion and manifest it. And if it takes 30 years to be a college president, then take the 30 years. In the meantime, you can make the income that you need to get to that point, but if you think it's going to happen faster, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be disappointed, you're going to feel let down, and you're going to give up and you're going to go accept something passively that is going to make you accept pay. Alright? So, what am I? Who am I? When am I going to get there? Where am I going? That where, that's your inventory, right? That's you drawing out your little thematic diagram and saying, or what do they call it, a mind mapping diagram, or like I said in the How to Be a Great Writer, whatever. That is called chunking. It's the same thing. If you chunk your life, you put it in the middle of the paper. Here's what I want to be. Here's what I want to do when I get older. And you put that in the middle of the paper. Then you can chart out what are the different steps you're going to have to take to get to that destination. And then when you decide that you want to get to that destination, you have to be committed to it. Because the institutions don't give a damn about you. You think for a second the economic institution, you think the capitalist enterprise cares one way or another whether or not you become your dream? It doesn't care about you. The education institution, it doesn't care about you. Because someone's going to fulfill that position. Why? Because institutions are greater than you as an individual. So, once you realize that it is your effort that's going to take you there, forget the sound bites, dig in and read, right? And if you do it every day, just a little piece, one day you wake up and you end up at that destination. So where are you going? Once you figure out where you're going and how long it's going to take, realistically how long it's going to take, you can strategically do something every single day so that you can get to that destination. I didn't know I wanted a YouTube page. I didn't know it. I didn't know I wanted to be a professional coach. It just kind of came on me here recently, about a year ago. And I said, how do I get from where I stand today to that spot? And immediately I started reading. About 2 years ago, I trained myself to understand viral hacking. I'm too old to worry about viral hacking, but I decided that I better learn about it. I better learn about digital promotion. I better learn about, all these different things with artificial intelligence and algorithms. I better learn how to hook that damn camera up and put this microphone on so that I don't care about the mistakes I make. I'm going to make tons of mistakes. But the thing is, every mistake I make takes me a little bit closer. Are you willing to make the mistake? Are you willing to forego a few dollars or a couple nights out so that you can walk in the direction of your dreams, like Henry David Thoreau says? Once you have all that, the how is what is your plan. Baby, let me tell you something. You take a look at the people around you. All right? Take a look at the people around you. How many of them have a plan? Forget about executing it. How many of them have a plan? Do you have a plan? Because if you don't have a plan, it's just like Lynn Jordan used to tell me, my advisor from Denison. If you don't have a plan and you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. If you do know where you're going, only a few roads will take you there. Then he used to tell me, an idea without a concept is just wind blowing around in your head. A desire without a plan is just wind blowing around your head. You're never going to get there. So put together a plan that you can execute. And the number one priority in your plan, and trust me, I made all these mistakes. I continue, what's some on my nose? I continue to make the mistakes, but not as much as I used to. In your planning, you must surround yourself with the people who believe in you, who provide you with the resources, who provide you with economic resources, emotional, psychologically, etc., educational, what have you. If they do not take you to a higher level, you have to develop the courage and the strength to let them go. If they don't take you to a place of higher ground, then they need to be under the ground. If they are someone, and I'm going to tell you what, especially the women in this class, if you are in a relationship where somebody denigrates you, if somebody wants to control who you're talking to, if somebody's going to question what clothes you're wearing when you go out, somebody who's going to question your belief system and make you feel less than what you are, if there's somebody out there that's going to emotionally abuse you, you need to figure out how to move on. And if you can't move on your own, you go ahead and hit me at shawn.hopeworks at gmail.com, and I will take you to the next place. I will put you on these shoulders, and I will walk you to a place where you can find your destiny. Because if you are in an abusive personal relationship, you are always going to be held back. And if you're held back, that means this world is going to lose your greatness. And losing your greatness means that some people, maybe myself, will lose out. Because if you can't shine your light upon others, guess what? Here's the beauty of shining your light. If you can shine your light on somebody else, that by virtue of your shining gives them the right to shine their light on somebody else. And in a world where lethal violence is human behavior, in a world where lethal violence proliferates, especially self-directed lethal violence, and guess what? If we are not in a place where we allow others to shine their light and we don't shine our light, then we're cutting ourselves off to the greatness that stands before us. And guess what? When you build your team, you have to be on somebody else's team. And guess what? If you all do that, and I do that, guess what? Now all of a sudden, you're moving to a higher level. And if the trends are saying that artificial intelligence is going to replace most of our jobs, if we're learning that robotics is going to take over factories, then what the hell are we doing taking multiple choice tests? At this point, you need to stand in a position where you build your team, you build yourself, and you come up with a realistic timeline as to how long it's going to take you to manifest that dream, and you never give up, right? And here's the last part of it, right? You have where you're going. If you don't have a why, you're wasting your time. Without a why, you're going to give up every single time. For me, no matter how hard it gets, I have two daughters that I love more than any people in the world, Macy and Madison. And every morning I wake up, I say to myself, if I make this decision, does it make their life better or does it make it worse? Would they be proud of me for doing this behavior or would they not? And every day I say, how can I assure that they will not have to suffer the life that I suffered in my background? Now, I'm at a point where now I know they made it through all that, right? They don't have to worry about living in poverty, growing up in poverty, or an abusive situation or a violent situation. Those days are gone. They don't have to worry about that. Now the question is, am I properly preparing them for the year 2040 when they got to stand on their own? When Dad's not here anymore. Yeah, I got a $500,000 life insurance for them, and they're going to be able to survive for a small period of time off of that money. But I plan on staying around a little bit, and I'm not trying to kick off tomorrow morning. But if I did, they'd be taken care of. My job now is to train them just like I'm training you to start preparing for that. You, my friends, need your why. Why are you getting up in the morning? Why are you foregoing a night at Boogie's so that you can move forward towards your destiny? Right? Why do you make sure that you do your inventories? Why are you doing behaviors in your private time that nobody sees, that nobody else is doing? The reason is because if there is greatness inside of you, you have to do what nobody else does. And if you do what nobody else does, you're going to wake up one day and Giancarlo, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be one of the top 5%. And that's all I want. I want every single one of you to do better in your lifetime than I did. And I did pretty well, baby. I came from a violent background, in an abusive home, in a very, very violent neighborhood, sexual assault everywhere, right? Came up, had no money, had never heard about investing. I had an idea that stocks existed. I used to read the stock market page, but I didn't know what a mutual fund was. And so thank you, Kristen. I'm at a point where I know the tools now. I know the process that it takes to get from nothing. Giancarlo, I don't know what you missed, man. I'm sorry. You're going to have to hold on. If you're waiting to find out about assignments, you're going to have to hold on to the end because I'm in the middle of this stuff now, baby. I'm in a flow. And so, what I learned is getting out of the ghetto took a team effort. Mama Green, I'm all charged up and the Wi-Fi goes out. What? Are you serious? This is 2020, baby. This isn't some 1975 period of time where you got a 75-foot TV antenna outside your home and you got to turn the antenna around so it faces Detroit so that you can get the channels out of Detroit. This is where we got cable and digital technology. I should never have to worry about a connection with my Wi-Fi. This is ridiculous. But in any case, I'll let them take care of that. You, my friends, and this is where it gets really important. I'm trying to figure out how much time I have left in this class. I'll figure it out here in a second. I got till 9:40, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm going to go hang out with my kids because they're actually moving up to Kentucky very soon, which breaks my little heart because I only see them once a month instead of every day. So I got to prepare myself mentally for that. But that's over here somewhere. All right. Your job is to get your financial house in order. Yes, you can rewatch it. I want to create a entrepreneurship club. Hit me at shawn.hopeworks@gmail.com if you want to join the entrepreneur club. Tomorrow I start the 50-day challenge to your greatness. Hit me up on that so I can hook you into the group on WhatsApp. But the most important thing that you can do, especially since the majority of you are younger than 25, if I knew what I'm about to tell you now, when I was your age, I would undoubtedly be a millionaire right now. And here it is. You've got to build your financial house. Step one. And I know you're too young and you're not thinking about this, but the foundation of your house is term life insurance. Because someday most of you are going to get married, someday most of you are going to have kids, someday some of you may pass away in your youth, long before you should. You know, I've been teaching, I've had 20,000 students at this point. I probably have had 100 to 200 of them who have died before the ages of 25 to 30. Car crashes, cancer, different things like that, unpredictable type of events. I know I had one guy who got murdered at the University of Louisville, another guy, I've had a bunch of them who wanted to commit suicide, who come to me and say, you know, I just wanted to come to your class one last time, and I embrace them, I hold them, and none of them who have ever contacted me have ever committed suicide, which is a blessing. But life insurance really is the foundation. And you get a 35-year term, you're between the age of 20 and 25, so you're going to pay next to nothing, especially while you're young and healthy. So you go ahead and get $250,000 or $500,000 or whatever, and you get that for $25 to $50 a month. That takes care of your legacy, because most of you by 55 are going to have kids. So if you have $500,000 in life insurance, but you're only paying $25, $30, $40 a month, your family is taken care of no matter what. So you project ahead. That's step number one in building your financial house. Step number two, and by the way, I'm going to create a video over the next few days. It's going to be very professional. It's not going to be like this, me talking, going off. It's going to be more or less step by step how to build your financial house. And then you can share it with friends, you can share it with family, or what have you. Because, you know, as a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, MetLife, I'm still one today. And the beautiful thing about someone like me is that when I work with you in your financial planning, I'm not going to sell you anything. I'll sell you something, but it has to be right, because I don't need the commission. I'm already making enough money that commission is irrelevant to me. So I can guide you, me and my partner Annette, we'll guide you to the right outcome. Most people are trying to make a sale so that they can generate revenue, generate income. I don't care about that. What I care about is all of you having your financial freedom when you're my age. That's all I care about. I care about it for my kids. I care about it for you. Because we're a family, man. We're not student teacher. That stuff is ridiculous. All I have is some knowledge that you want, that I'm going to give to you. And you have the energy and you have knowledge that I need. So together, when we work like this, we make each other's greatness come to life. Right? So you build your life insurance. Step number one after that, you got to clear that debt out, baby. If you're carrying debt at your age, you're stealing from yourself. The first thing you need to do after you get your life insurance together, pay that debt off. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Because if you're carrying credit card debt, if you're carrying a car loan, yeah, it's nice to have a car. You can get around without one. You can get something less expensive than what you have. It's called the Veblen effect. Most people go ahead and buy something that is more expensive than what they really need because they're trying to show that they have status that they really don't have. And so people will buy a car that is very nice looking when all they need to do is get from point A to point B. Many of you will go ahead and, debt-free one. Many of you will go to Starbucks and go ahead and spend $3.50, $4.50 for a latte grande, and then you go ahead and get that and sprinkle a little cinnamon on there, a little bit of whipped cream or whatever, and you got some flavor. Man, forget that. Go ahead and get your little silver coffee pot over at Publix. Get your little Peon or whatever brand you're going to use for coffee. put it in there, brew it up. You got 3 cups that'll last you the whole day. From my understanding, it's crack, it's liquid crack. And go ahead and have your little liquid crack. 3 a day is coladas or cortaditas, however you say it. You know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. So you have 3 or 4 of those a day, and you only spent basically 25 cents versus $4.50. So if you make it at home and you have 3 cups, then you just save $4.25 every single day. Multiply that by 30 days. That's 120 plus 30. That's basically $130 that you could be putting away in investments rather than drinking it up and then going to the bathroom later. You feel what I'm saying? So you can take the margins. This is called marginal behavior. You take your look at your margins and where you're spending your money, and instead of spending it on these ridiculous things, it's not ridiculous, it's socially constructed. But if you all of a sudden start to curb those type of behaviors, right, and you pay off your debt, man, you're golden. And if you're using a credit card to purchase at Starbucks, man, all you're doing is paying your future income to pay for a cup of coffee that you're going to go to the bathroom and let it release. That's all you're doing. So instead, get rid of your credit cards, be debt-free that way. Man, get a car that gets you to point B. That's all you need. Right now, all you need is to get to point A, from point A to point B. That's all you need. You don't need to live in Brickell, right? You can live in a place that is near work or whatever for half the money. In other words, if you're living with paying interest for a house that's overpriced, for a car that you don't necessarily need, for credit so that you can get clothes today using your future income. See, this is the problem with credit. You're using your future income. So if you're 21, and we know that if you pay minimum on your credit card, it's going to take you 30 years to pay it off. So I'm going to buy this freaking shirt today and pay it until I'm 50 years old. Are you crazy? Come on, man. Don't listen to what they tell you to do. Because all you do when you play by the rules of the institution is you prop up the institution so they can make money, while in the meantime you get crushed by the very system that you're supporting. That's ridiculous. Step 2, get rid of your debt. Step 3, once you start eliminating your debt, you need about 3 to 6 months of savings so that you can survive on your own 2 feet. Right? In other words, you need about 3 months of savings so that if catastrophe hits, a virus called coronavirus comes along and you lose your job, you don't need the stimulus check. You don't need the unemployment check. The reason is because you've already put aside 3 to 6 months of savings so that you can stand on your own 2 feet. Get rid of the debt, have your life insurance, and be ready for the 3 to 6 months. Next, when you're building your financial house, the next step you need to take is you need to start investing your money. Man, look. Invest in 2 places. Invest in your mind, because nobody can take your mind away. Invest in your knowledge. Read. That's the greatest investment you can make. Because at the end of the day, once it's in your lockbox, nobody can take it away. Invest in the market. Invest in your mind, invest in your market. If you invest in the marketplace, right, that is the stock market, mutual funds, you're going to get about a 10% return every single year. Right? The bank is giving you 1/10 of 1% return. There's a thing called, get your pens out, get your paper out, I'm going to teach you something. If you got anything from this semester, this is the one you need to get. There's 2 things. One's called the Rule of 72. The other one's called the Rule of 116. Alright? And what those are, the Rule of 72 will tell you how long it's going to take for your money to double in an investment. The Rule of 116 is going to tell you how long it's going to take to triple your money within an investment. So, let's say, for example, go back to the bank, you get 1/10 of 1%. And they're smart, right? Let's say they give you 1% interest. They're taking that money that you put in the savings account and they're putting out as a loan to another customer. If the customer's using a credit card, they got to pay back 30% on the money that they loan that you put into your savings account, because they only have to have 10% of all the deposits on hand. So if you and I collectively put $1 million into the bank, they only have to have $100,000 in there. They're allowed to distribute the other $900,000 and collect interest off of it. So while you're getting a 1% return, they're getting 30% return off of your money that they're loaning to other people. That's very smart. I mean, I wish I could think of doing it myself. If you're getting a car loan for 12%, you get a $10,000 car, 12%, rule of 72. If it takes 6 years for you to pay it, that means you're going to pay $20,000 for a $10,000 car. You know, the way I look at it is, give me the $10,000. I'll go buy a car in cash. They get nothing, and you end up paying me instead of paying them, right? Because they're going to make a profit off of you. So they're not going to make a profit off of me. Are you crazy? There's no way. So you're paying their ability to stay in business. By the way, you have a debit card. I got a debit card. If I go to a ATM machine out of network, which doesn't make sense, right? Everything is digitally connected. So if I go to, I have a Chase right around the corner from where I live, but I have Bank of America, which they're fine, whatever. So I go to Chase because I need to get a quick $20. But I got to pay a $3 fee. You're paying me 1%, 1%, right, per year. So what amount of money do I have to have in the bank to make $3? I have to have $3,000 in the bank. No, wait, I'm sorry. $300 in the bank so that I can make the $3 to make up the fee. If I use that, if I go out of network 10 times a year, I got to have $300. So I need to have $3,000 sitting in the bank in a savings account to make up for the fees that I spend on an ATM machine. Don't worry about a bounce check. We know that's $35. You need to wire money through the bank. That's $35. You need to get a printout of your account because they only give you 3 months access through your app, but you need something going back to 6 months because you're being audited by the IRS. $35 for you to get a 12-month printout. 12-month printout, how many pages you get? 30 pages? So in other words, you're spending what? $1 a page? Oh, that sounds pretty good to me. So you're spending $1 a page. You're getting a $35 fee for bouncing a check. Every time you hit an ATM machine, if it's out of the network, it's $3. If you decide that you want to make sure that you don't have overdraft protection, that's $4.95. You have no choice except to accept the security fee that you have to pay every single month, $6.95, to make sure that you're not a victim of identity theft. By the end of the year, you have $3,000 sitting there, and at 1%, you make $30. One bounce check, you lose everything that you earned, correct? You're negative $5. If you take a look at all the fees you pay to the bank, it ends up the bank gets all your money. And why? Because you told that's the way to do it. Here's the way I think about it. Use the bank for one reason. For your emergency money. That's it. For your 3-month savings. I wouldn't have a checking account if I wasn't forced to because of direct deposit. I wouldn't do it. Because someone's getting a fee for that money to be transferred over to the bank. And I still got to pay a fee to get my own money. That's robbery. Okay? But they have it right. Because the banks understand the time value of your money. And that is this. Your money today has a future value. And that future value is based upon the percentage rate that you get in return. If you're getting a 1% return, the rule of 72 says it's going to take you 72 years to double your money. You're gone, baby. If you're 92 and you double your money, you got $1,000, now you got $2,000, what's that worth? Right? Because the fact of the matter is, inflation is 3%. So if the bank is giving you 1%, inflation is 3%. Every year you fall 2% further behind than everybody else. You fall behind 2% every year by having your money in the bank. Congratulations. You're going to retire broke. Rule of 116 means you're going to triple your money. What is that? Instead of every 72 years, you're going to triple your money 116 years to triple your money at 1%. Sounds like a waste of time to me. What you need to be pursuing is about 8 to 10%, right? Because if you pursue 8 to 10% in a mutual fund, don't worry about stocks yet. If you have 10% return, your money doubles every 7.2 years, and it triples every 11.6 years. Yes, well, I'll go ahead and ask your question. I'll be glad to answer. I'm going to keep on because I know there's a time delay. When I get your question, I'm going to answer it. All right? Once you start investing in you, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to build a college savings for your kids. The last step of building your financial house, and this is the one I love, this is the one that is really, I found it hard to do, but it's very important, is that you got to build your own company. If you're working for somebody else, that's fine, because you're at the age where you're just getting your feet down on the ground. You got to go through your struggles. You got to understand and learn who you are, find your greatness. But at the same time, you are at a prime time to start building your own company. Because the one thing we know about building your own company through entrepreneurship is that you're never going to fire yourself, right? If there's a possibility of giving you a raise, you're going to give yourself a raise. So you need to start thinking in terms of your life as a business. Since we know 40% of all the jobs in 2040 are going to be based upon self-employment, you need to go ahead and start creating your new streams of income. Passive streams of income are great, where you don't have to work, but the money comes to you anyhow. You might have to work up front, but on the back end, it flows to you, right? So you start looking at ways of making passive income. Then you're going to actually start to open up the doors to your longevity. Passive income is your key. Returns are your key. Debt is your killer. Following others is even worse, right? So let's take a look at it. Let's say you get 10%, and I've been using this example all day, but this is remarkably powerful. Most of you probably have about this much saved, maybe this much, 10, maybe 100. Some of you might have 1,000. If you have 10,000, fantastic. But most of you are between $0 and $500, somewhere in there. That's fine, you're young, right? But let's say, for example, you have a baby, and the baby is born. If you put $10,000 into a mutual fund, diversified mutual fund, which means you have, I'm going to make a video so you learn about diversification later, but in other words, you put it in a mutual fund. In a mutual fund, the difference between a mutual fund and a stock is, a stock gives you ownership, one share of ownership into a company. So if Apple is sitting at, I think, what is it, $3.52 a share? If Apple costs, no, it's more than that, 500, whatever. So if you have $500, you buy one share of Apple. Now you own one fraction of Apple, right? And not a lot, but you own one fraction of Apple. And if Apple does great, it goes up 10%. Now your 500 is worth 550. That's owning individual stock. If it goes down to 450, then you just lost 10%. Now your 1,000 or your 500 is now worth 450. Right? Either way, it's going to fluctuate. So if you buy one stock, you're carrying a lot more risk. But a mutual fund, what that does is it allows you to think of it as a basket, right? And in that basket, they will own a bunch of individual stocks, right? So you might own a little bit of Microsoft, you might own a little Apple, you might own a little Nvidia, which I do own, I like Nvidia. You might own a little bit of Micron or whatever. But what happens is, if all of a sudden Nvidia goes down, the other ones probably will stay pretty firm. So instead of you losing everything, you just lose a little piece. So what a mutual fund does is it spreads your risk out across many individual holdings, right? And that's really good for you, because investing, people, my friends, my family, if you're chasing income through investments, you're going to lose. That's not what you're doing. You're trying to grow your money over time. You're trying to allow time to grow it for you so that 20, 30, 40 years from now, you have something sitting there that will sustain you long until your retirement and beyond. All right? You're trying to mitigate risk. That's what investments do, is it mitigates risk. Some people don't invest at all, and the problem with not investing is, if the average return since 1929 has been 11%, and inflation's at 3%, but you're in a bank at 1%, that means you're falling behind inflation by 2%. It's called opportunity risk, opportunity cost. So if you're not putting your money to work and getting 10%, beating inflation by 7, but you're only willing to take 1%, you're going to fall behind. As a matter of fact, 20, 30, 40 years from now, you're going to be dead flat broke because of the fact that you're investing in nothing and you're losing because of inflation. So your job really is to start to take a look at how can I grow my money. By the way, those people who say that buying a house is a great investment, and that's a myth. It makes 0 sense. The average increase in the price of a home, the value of a home, is about 3% a year. So it's about equivalent to inflation. So if you're looking to buy a house to get wealthy, you're wasting your time. You buy a house to live in. You don't buy a house for investment. You put your money into a diversified portfolio, and here's what happens. Hold on. Juan, that's a great question. That's a great question. Juan's question is, how can people in our generation invest without the fear of losing their investment? I feel like a lot of people in our generation are scared to invest. Absolutely. Right? And that's the key to all of it. Let me answer that. You're going to lose sometimes, and you're going to win sometimes. And what you're hitting on is the emotion of investing. And the problem is that people don't invest based upon rationality. They invest based upon emotion. So, like I was just saying, the average return for the stock market going back to 1929 is 11.3%. One that's going to answer your question. The average return for the individual investor is 1.5%. The market's gone up 11, but the individual investor is averaging 1%. And the question is, and this answers your question, Juan, why is that? The answer is really simple. It's called odd lots theory. I'll write it down. Hold on a second. Odd lots theory. Odd lots theory. And what that means is that most people will invest based upon their emotion. So if the stock market is going up, 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 like it has in the last month and a half, it got crushed in February and March, but it came roaring back in April. You don't know when it's going up, and you don't know when it's going down. I bet you, most of you, you can guess that it might go up or go down tomorrow. The fact of the matter is, you have no way of knowing. You can't guess the market day to day. But you can guess in the long term, it's going to go up 11.9% until you retire. Right? So here's what happens. When the market's going up, people are like, oh yeah, baby, I'm making money. Let me put a little bit more money in there because I'm making money. So they go chasing the euphoria of earning. But then when the market goes down and they start seeing their money disappear, they say, oh shit, my money's disappearing, let me take it out. Now I'm a mutual fund investor. Right? I'm a manager for a mutual fund. I am sitting here at Vanguard 500, and I say, I'm going to buy and sell based upon market conditions. And I see all these individual investors running scared, so the mutual funds, when they see you as an individual running scared, they start buying not just millions, billions of dollars worth of stocks. Billions. So they're getting it cheap, and when it comes back up, right, they got all the returns. You as the individual, you lost your money. And the reason was because you sold because you were scared. You bought because you were euphoric. And what you really need to do is be neither. The only way you can invest, and there's no reason to be afraid of it because you're going to win over the long term. And don't buy stocks, buy mutual funds. And you start with mutual funds because they spread the risk out. Once you read and learn how mutual fund managers make their decisions to buy and sell, then you can start buying individual stocks. Someone today asked me about Robinhood. Robinhood's great, right? SoFi is great. So is Stash. It's okay. I'm not a big fan of Stash. Acorns, terrific. But the problem, the strength with Robinhood and all those is that it's free trading. It's awesome. If I want to go ahead and buy a fraction of NVIDIA, I'll go ahead and buy $10 instead of $385 that it's worth. I get 0.3% of a share. I can do that, and that's okay, but I don't know when I'm going to sell it, and I don't know how far it takes me to put in $10 on a stock that's worth $350, right? So what we do is we go for the free trade, but we don't know what we're buying. Most people don't look at fundamentals. You don't even know what the fundamentals are, right? So people buy a stock because they heard somebody else, or because because I go to the grocery store and I see that Kraft macaroni and cheese, people buy it, so all of a sudden now I'm going to go ahead and buy into Kraft. Well, I know Kraft is a cyclical stock, so it's going to go up and down on a very small range. I'm trying to grow my money. I'm not trying to have an income portfolio. If I want that, I'll get something else besides Kraft. So people will buy stuff because they see it in front of their face, but they don't know the PE ratio. What's a PE ratio? You're going to buy a stock, you don't know what a PE ratio is. You're going to buy a stock, you don't know what the price to sales ratio is. You're going to buy a stock, but you still don't know what the return on equity is, or the return on investment, or the dividend payout ratio, and you're going to call yourself investing? Let the professionals do it. And you study how they make their decisions. And then once you make the decisions, then you start to purchase an individual stock here and there. But Robinhood and all these other free platforms make it look so easy, but man, if you're investing off of emotion instead of your sell strategy, you're always going to lose. You have to have a strategy for when to sell. Anyone can buy. That's easy. But if you don't know when you're going to sell and get out, you're going to lose every single time. So the first thing you need to do if you're going to ever buy an individual stock, when are you going to sell? That's the key. And if you don't follow it like religion, then just buy mutual funds, right? Okay. There's no reason to be afraid. All right, Pamela. Here, Pamela, hit me at this phone number. Text me, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add you in. I have to figure out how to do all that. All right. So, going back to the example, all right, 10% return, and you put $10,000 in your child's account at birth. Watch this. The rule of 116 says it's going to triple in 11 years. I'm going to round it to 10, so I'm going to be a little inaccurate, but it's easier for me to do the math off the top of my head. But I never use numbers. So, you put $10,000 in your child at birth, and you put it in a diversified portfolio, a mutual fund, that gets 10%, and I'm going to come back to you, Juan. I'm not done with your answer yet. That means when they're 10 years old, that $10,000 is going to grow to $30,000. Why? Because it's tripling every 11 years. So, that $30,000 at the age of 20 is worth $90,000. How many of you have $90,000 sitting around right now, this second, because your parents gave you $10,000 when you were born? They never gave you another penny. How many of you have that $90,000? I don't. My mother didn't know. She didn't know about insurance. She didn't know about, she was debt-free, but she didn't know how to invest. If she knew any one of those two things, I'd be a gazillionaire right now. But she didn't know. She wasn't taught. I know, and I'm trying to do that for my kids. Now, by the age of 30, you got $270,000. Wouldn't that be nice? By the age of 40, you have 600 plus, you got $810,000 at the age of 40. By the time you're 50 years old, you're not even my age yet. You got $2.4 million. By the time you're 60 years old, you got $7.2 million. When you turn 70, you got $21.6 million. Why? Because your parents gave you $10,000 at birth, and they put it into a mutual fund that got 10% per year, which is less than what the Dow Industrial has been paying. Of course, we all wish. But here's the beautiful one. Here's what's beautiful. Here's what's beautiful. You can still get there. You're young. Get your life insurance. Go ahead and get your $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 of life insurance. Build the foundation. Clear off the debts. Matter of fact, I promise you that if you invest in cable companies, you're going to lose your money. But anyhow, aside from that, dollar cost averaging. So what you want to do is, your goal at your age is to invest $250 a month from the age of 21 until you are 40. Because here's what's going to happen. If the market goes way up, you're going to be happy. But if the market goes way down, you're going to buy more shares at a discount. It's kind of like this. I like a Lexus. I want a Lexus. Let's say I want a brand new Lexus, and I go to the sales line, and the guy, man or the woman, they say, "Oh, look at this dude, man. He really wants a Lexus. He likes that black one." Let's go ahead, because he loves it so much, let's give him some value. Let's go ahead and sell that $50,000 car for $75,000. Right? None of you are going to do that. Now, one of you are going to go to the car lot and pay 50% more for a car that you like just because you like it. Right? But if the auto salesman comes up and says, you know what, I'll sell you that $50,000 for $25,000 because I know you like it, then you're going to be, oh yeah, that's a great deal. Give me the $50,000 car for $25,000. In the stock market, you do the exact opposite. When the car is worth $25,000, you're afraid. You're afraid that it has no value because it's been going down, right? So you don't buy it. You want to see if it comes back up. What you need to do is, if you're putting away the same amount every single month, you're buying shares that are cheaper. So when the value comes back up to $50,000, you get all this momentum coming upward. Most people say in the stock market, oh my God, this thing is really pumping up. I'm going to go ahead and spend $75,000 on the share rather than what its intrinsic value is at $50,000 because it looks like it's strong. That's why everyone got annihilated in the year 2000 with the dot-com boom. Everyone thought we had a new economy and they were buying stuff that had never made money, and when they bought it and it flattened out and it went down and it went bankrupt, they lost everything. Why? Because they weren't looking at the fundamentals. So here's what you do. Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do. And this is what I did do. In 1992, my first father-in-law taught me about mutual funds. He said, Shawn, if you put $50 into Janner's fund, which was a no-load fund, you can look up what a load means. A load is, what is the percentage commission you have to pay up front? No load means you have to pay 0% up front. There's still fees that are hidden, but you don't lose anything up front. Then there are A shares, B shares, C shares, institutional shares, and all that stuff, but you don't need to know that. All right. So he said, put away $50 in this Janus fund. It's a nice little no load. I said, okay, great. So I paid $50, and this is in November, I guess it was November of 1993, 92. And it comes back, my first statement I have, $50.36. I'd earned 0.72% on my money. And I started to cry like a little baby. Tears were rolling down my face. My father-in-law in the future goes, why are you crying? I said, this is the first time in my life that I've ever earned money that I didn't have to work for. And at that point I said, I'm going to put in 100. Right? And I was only making $750 a month at that particular moment. My income went up pretty soon after that because I got a part-time, not even part-time, I got a full-time professor job and at Capital University. Then I was still teaching at Ohio State. Then I was at the Department of Corrections. So I increased to about $250 a month. And here's what I learned. When it was going up, I got fewer shares, but I had more value. When the market was going down, I got more shares, so that when it came back up, I had momentum. But I never worried about whether I was winning or losing, because I knew I was going to hold it for 25 years. I didn't, but I should have, and I would have, and I'd be a gazillionaire if I had done it that way. Right? Marriage, divorce, that kind of stuff really throws a curveball into your financial life. However, between 1992 and by the end of 1998, I've gone from $0 in savings or anything else. I was only making $750. I went from $0 to $150,000 in 5 years, 5 or 6 years. Why? Because I was putting away $250 a month. It's called dollar cost averaging. If you put it in on the first of the month every single month and you just do it religiously, if you do that for the next 20 years, here's the beautiful thing about it, Jocelyn and Juan. If you do that for the next 20, 30 years, put away $250 a month at the beginning of the month and don't worry about it, when you retire at the age of 65, you're going to have roughly $2.4 million. And you don't even have to invest past the age of 40. You have $2 to $2.5 million by putting away $250 a month, every single month, and you do it religiously. And some say, well, I don't have $250 a month. Let's come at it this way. Let's do it this way. Someone today told me that they had insurance on their phone. Their phone got damaged. They got a new phone. Well, you have insurance on this thing. If you have an iPhone, it's worth $1,000. You got insurance on that. You got insurance on your car, which is worth $10,000 to $20,000, right? But your life is worth more than anything we can imagine, and you don't have insurance on your life. You have insurance on these inanimate objects, but you don't have anything on you. It makes zero sense whatsoever. All right. Second thing you don't have your investments going. So if you're not putting aside money to make sure that you can live happily ever after, then what you're doing is you're putting your spirit and your soul and your future life at the hands of legislators and politicians to decide for you how they're going to make sure you survive when Social Security disappears and when pensions no longer exist. Since you're not a saving generation, you on average save less than 1%, negative 1% per month, which means you're a debtor. You're a debtor generation. What that means is that who's going to take care of you? Only 1 in 5% of your generation will take care of themselves. And here's how you do it. $250 a month, boom, done, over, religiously. And you don't take the money out. You already got your savings set aside, you got your insurance, you got debt-free. You now become one of the top 5%ers. You become, in time, the ones that everyone looks up to and respects. You become the one that can take care of your kids under all circumstances. You become the one that doesn't rely upon a stimulus check or an unemployment check. Why? Because you're self-employed, you're paying yourself first. And here's your rule. If you want, here, write this stuff down. Here's your rule. If you make $1,000 this month, you put $200 in your investments right off the top. And then you use 80% of it, or not 80, 60% of it to pay your bills. If your bills exceed that, then you need to reduce your bills. All right? Then you have 20% that you just play with. So there's no reason for you not to enjoy your life. You need makeup, get the makeup. You want a car, get the car. If you want to go out, go out. But you don't use your discretionary money. You pay yourself first, because no one is going to be taking care of you when you're 65 years old. Nobody, except for you. So you go ahead and put 20% aside every single month. And if you do it through dollar cost averaging, you're going to minimize the risk and you're going to maximize the return over time. When you learn how to do stocks, then you go ahead and do the stocks. But don't do those stocks until you know what you're doing, because that market is designed for you to fail. Right? That is designed for mutual fund and hedge fund managers to make the money, not for you. So you got to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, get the mutual funds. That's step one. Now, take 60% and pay your bills. Never be late. Keep your credit score up. But do have fun. Have fun. Right? So 20% goes to fun, or 30 or 40. 20% goes directly towards your financial investments. And then you pay your bills. And here's one last part. Oh my God. I can't even believe I'm going to talk about it, baby, but I'm going to talk about this right now. When you're building your team, build your team so that you can advance your dream. I believe in marriage. I failed at it, but I believe in it. And here's the thing. You need to marry the right person. Don't trick yourself. Don't marry the person that you know in your heart is not the right one. All right? Because we know that the quality of life, the predictors of the quality of life, there are two predictors. One is job satisfaction, and predictor number two is marital satisfaction. If you have a job you can't stand and you're in a marriage that you can't stand, that brings you down, your quality of life is right here. So when you go through this process, because we have a society that sorts and weeds us out until we find a person, and we get married to that person, we either stay with them or we don't. And about, the divorce rate's pretty high. And unfortunately, your generation is not even getting married. Most of you don't even want kids, so now you really got to stand on your own moving forward. But if you do get married, do yourself a real favor. Marry the right person. Don't trick yourself. Don't get married just because it's what you're supposed to do at this particular age. Find that person that shares similar political, religious beliefs, and please marry somebody that shares the same philosophy about money, because I will guarantee you that if economics is the number one predictor of whether or not a couple stays divorced or married, then you need to have a similar philosophy on what you're going to do with money. Because if you don't have that similar philosophy, baby, you're going to get run down. And then your money's going to be in turmoil for years. So, boom. Insurance, debt-free. Savings, 3 months. Don't let the banks take your money. Invest. Children, build your own business. Get your side hustle going and make it based upon you and your dreams. Read every single day, and my God, build your team. If you do those things as I just laid out, you will be one of the top 5% of wealth holders in the nation. And you will have the financial independence that you need to stand up against the institutions as the institutions change. There is no fear of investing, Juan. You just have to be strategic in how you do it. And I think that the fear really stems from you are not given the education to understand how the process works. And if you're not educated, then what happens is you become fearful of something you don't know. Turn off the social media, get rid of it. Quit texting and tweeting people that you already know. And read an hour a day. Get to know your dreams, get to know your passions, take into account the very things that you're looking forward to as far as building your dreams, build your team, find the right marital partner. You do those things, you will have a life of satisfaction that few will ever enjoy. And believe me, you deserve to have the best. And if you accept less than the best, then you have sold your soul out to a society that doesn't care about what happens to you in the long run. Why? Because at the end of the day, this society is designed for you to sell your labor at the lowest value for the highest return. Everything else is just hearsay. So, please, if you do anything, listen to the old man over here. And the old man is just giving you truth, baby. Please build your financial house, follow your dreams, and build your team. Now, the assignments. You're going to like this stuff. I made the decision. No final exam. No final exam. We're not going to do Zoom. We're not going to have any write-up. So what I want, basically, but I do want you to follow the announcement board in Blackboard, because I'm going to make some announcements along the way. What I want is, because some people are behind, some people are falling behind, some of you are right on time, I just want everything submitted by Sunday. So on Sunday, July 5th, I want all your work submitted. You all have been participating. Look, there's 23 people on here right now. You participated. Some of you have been just ridiculously phenomenal. So if you're interested in joining the entrepreneurial club, please hit me at my phone number, text me, and then I'll have my other person who's running it, she will put you in. Those of you who want to have some financial assistance, I do that on a part-time basis, and I have a partner who is just, she's phenomenal. Her name is Annette Perez. Annette will work with you, make sure that everything, and I've told her, and she knows that if anybody comes through Miami-Dade College to her, she has to take care of them as if they're her family. And she and I are very much like family. So she will take great care of you, and I can help you with the mutual funds, the life insurance. I can help guide you with stock picking, debt reduction. I got access to all that kind of stuff. And really, at this point, I'm 54 years old, and my goal has become to share with the world the knowledge that I have. So if I can share with you how to build a better life for yourself, baby, that's what I'm going to do. All right? No final exam. I want all your work submitted by Sunday. Between now and Sunday, everything is going to be graded, because on Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to turn in my grades. I'm done with it, because I got my own dreams to build up. You know what I mean? But Friday at 3 o'clock, oh my God, you guys had me so happy. Friday at 3 o'clock, we will meet at Lime at downtown Dadeland. But we're going to follow social distancing, because I do not like what's taking place in Miami as far as the coronavirus. And I even had a lot of doubts and reservations whether we should meet at all. However, bring your mask, and let's meet up and keep the safe distances from one another, and let's have a good time. We'll probably eat outside, but I want to meet you. I want to say hello. I want you to see the old man face to face. I look much better in real life than I do on this. I mean, I'm all pasty. I look a little bit like Casper. I'll have this grown out a little bit more, but in any case, we can do that. And as we get ready to kick off, I guess this is basically the end of the semester. please contact me at shawn.hopeworks. I'm going to provide you with a formal video so that you can really learn how to invest. I'll probably do that later in the week, and I'll send it to you via email within Blackboard. Take a look at it, and if you want any help, please don't even hesitate. I'll be your coach, I'll be your guide. At this point in my life, I really don't want you to struggle with things that I had to struggle with. I want you to be a top 5%er, and I want you to be in control of your life. If you can be in control of your life, or at least in control of your thoughts, baby, you have been a huge success in this lifetime. Pamela Roll, my goodness, thank you for coming in today. She was a student of mine a few years ago right here at Miami-Dade College. It's been a pleasure. And the rest of you, thank you for your questions. Thank you for all that you've done. I got to go see my daughters. We're going to go watch some My Hero Academia. We're in season 4. We've been binge watching, and we want to kind of get through that. But in any case, I love you. You've been awesome. I'm going to sign off. Thank you.